My name is Hedwig von Beverfoerde. I am the mother of 3 adult children, the grandmother of 2 small children, and the founder and spokeswoman of the Action for Marriage and Family Demo für alle. I would like to thank you for the honor of speaking to you today on such a central topic. Marriage and family build the foundation of human life. Marriage and family form the smallest link in the large and diverse organism of society. In marriage, a man and a woman find a lasting and exclusive connection to one another. Their mutual love creates new life and with it a family. The family is the community of father, mother and children based on marriage. As those who gave life to their children, parents by nature have the right and duty to educate their children. Of course, grandparents, godparents, friends, teachers, priests, etc. are also indirectly involved in this upbringing, but the 2 biological parents bear the main responsibility. Education primarily takes place within the family. Here, children learn to play, speak and walk, they listen to fairy tales, legends and poems, and sing songs. Within the family, children take on initial responsibility, practice virtues, develop an independent character, and mature into fully formed members of society, who in turn can start families again. Without this small unit of marriage and family, humanity cannot exist. There can be no state, no economy, and no culture. Pope Pius XII said very aptly in a radio message on May 13 in 1942, "The family is holy. It is a cradle not only for the children but the entire nations. Man and woman should pass on the torch of the physical and also spiritual, of the moral and of the Christian life to the future generations." However, a family cannot fulfill this honorable and responsible task alone. It is inherently embedded in a larger whole of other families and larger communities that together form a society with a state at the top. On the one hand, the state benefits from parents raising their children to serve the common good and love their homeland. On the other hand, it has the task of maintaining public peace for the families and protecting them from ideological influences, from economic damage and other external attacks. The state must also respect and preserve the natural right of parents to raise their children independently and responsibly in accordance with the principle of subsidiarity. These fundamental truths are no longer self-evident today. For decades, we have been experiencing ever-increasing attacks on marriage and family. The numbers of abortions in Germany and the Western world are rising. Pornography, especially from new platforms like OnlyFans, is being consumed already by young children through smartphones. The comprehensive sexuality education is omnipresent in German and European daycare centers and schools. Especially in Germany and Norway, many children are abducted by the state without solid reason. While the French government is restricting homeschooling and private schools, in Germany homeschooling is completely prohibited. While daycare is financially supported by governments and companies, parents who are taking care of their children at home are being discriminated against and financially disadvantaged. The pop culture has turned queer. You will find LGBT and gender ideology in advertising, children's books, comics, songs, films, video games and theater plays. About half of all European countries have introduced same-sex marriage and are pushing the missing countries to follow. Although the European Parliament has criticized the practice of surrogacy, the German government plans a legalization of egg donation and surrogacy. The numbers of children and teenagers identifying as transgender has extremely risen over the last decade in the Western world. On the horizon, we see the upcoming challenge. Transhumanism seems to be the next big thing, and artificial intelligence is already going to substitute the human capabilities. Last but not least, we witness a return of the attempt to normalize pedophilia in the media, in pop culture and in politics. These attacks come not only from states, but also from supranational organizations, such as the European Union or the United Nations, from large corporations, lobby organizations and NGOs, and from media, influencers and activists. These attacks are not just aimed at marriage and family, but at people in general, at their nature, their history, their identity. That's why we have to defend ourselves. That is why we must not stand idly by and watch as the entire human nature and culture is destroyed through the destruction of marriage and family. It is precisely for this reason that I and several colleagues founded the Action for Marriage and Family, Demo für alle, almost 10 years ago in the spring of 2014. To this day, we are the most important pro-family organization in Germany. Our name was inspired by our role model from France at the time, La Manif pour tous, which brought millions of people to the streets in Paris in 2013 to demonstrate for the marriage of one man and one woman. Since 2014, we have organized 11 demonstrations with up to 5,000 participants, 3 bus tours through many major German cities, and 7 big conferences. We collected hundreds of thousands of votes in petitions and distributed just as many educational brochures and flyers. We published numerous articles, animated and documentary films and podcasts, contacted hundreds of politicians, advised parents, trained young people, networked like-minded organizations and carried out street actions. Through our email newsletter and our presence on Facebook, Instagram, X and Telegram, we reach many thousands of citizens every week, informing them and encouraging them to take part in our protest actions. In recent years, we have been able to uncover several family policy scandals and successfully avert dangers. We have also founded 2 separate projects. The Initiative Elternaktion, in English Parent Action Initiative, and the Kein Mädchen platform, in English No Girl. The Parent Action Initiative supports parents in defending themselves against invasive sex education in daycare centers and schools. The initiative offers information on how parents can become active, what the legal situation is in individual federal states, which LGBT groups there are, how they work, and what materials they use. In addition to an extensive collection of material on the topics of sexual diversity and gender mainstreaming, we also recommend positive alternatives for value-oriented sexuality education. The topic of sex education is very central in our work because of the special situation we have in Germany. To sum it up quickly, for several years now, Demo für alle has been trying to clear up the biggest pedophilia scandal in the history of the Federal Republic of Germany. From the 1960s until the early 2000s, a psychologist and pedophile called Helmut Kendler distributed young children, especially boys, to other pedophiles in Berlin and Western Germany. This outrageous crime was known to and financed by the local government of Berlin. And this was no secret. Many people in politics and academia were actually aware of this shocking scandal, but either did not care or were actually profiting from it because they were also pedophiles. The latest research shows that there was a huge and influential pedophile ring in Western Germany, which might still exist. Either way, we do know that the bad heritage of Kendler is still well and alive. Kendler was also a very popular sex educator who developed the German version of the comprehensive sexuality education and spread it through his successors like Uwe Sielert to all daycare centers, schools and universities in Germany. Still today, this sex education is being taught to our children, and we will not stop until all of Kendler's pedagogy has been abolished. Another important project of ours is the Kein Mädchen platform. Kein Mädchen, which means no girl, is an information offering for young girls who are experiencing identity crisis and reject their biological gender. Their numbers have risen rapidly in the last few years. More and more young people, especially girls who had previously shown no signs of gender dysphoria, were simultaneously announcing on online forums that they were transgender. Many of them had previously been diagnosed with other mental illnesses, such as depression and anxiety disorders, as well as autism spectrum disorders. Social media and its actors are a major trend accelerator. Many celebrities and influencers are coming out as transgender or non-binary and present gender transition as a solution to all their problems. At the same time, transgender people are already being discussed in kindergartens and primary schools. Having encountered the transgender topic in this way, particularly young people with fragile personalities or various mental illnesses are being pulled into the transgender hype since they think of it as a way out of their problems. For these teenagers, it is difficult to find balanced answers on their many conflicting questions on the internet. Instead, they come across numerous advice tools from relevant trans communities. Those present the path to gender reassignment only in a positive and an affirmative way, without adequate information about health risks. The trans issue is omnipresent in youth culture, but nevertheless there is a huge gap in information. Kein Mädchen is helping to fill this gap. Among other things, we describe in detail the risks and side effects of using puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. We think it's our duty to provide timely, honest information in a sensitive manner. Above all, these activities represent our vision of a society in which families can shape their family life free of state paternalism and ideology, and in which family members are responsible for one another. We want the essential meaning of marriage and family to be valued and honored. Therefore, we inform, strengthen and mobilize citizens, especially parents, so that they can publicly and effectively advocate for the protection of their children and for the defense of marriage and family. This fight is very difficult as we are faced with a strong power that has more political influence, much more financial resources and media reach. This power ideologizes us according to the top-down principle. That's why we have to take the opposite approach. We have to build a grassroots movement and encourage individual citizens to get involved locally in protecting marriage and family, in daycare and schools, in clubs, in the church community, in the city council, at the local level member of parliament, etc. We must not remain alone, but rather must always find like-minded citizens who are willing to get involved with us. One of the first pieces of advice we give parents when they tell us about a problem at their child's daycare or school is, don't stay alone. Find support. Find other parents who feel the same way. And if you're a small group of parents, then go to the daycare center or school management and talk to them. The same goes for us family activists. We shouldn't stay alone either. We also need allies in politics, in the media, in the churches, in culture, in science, etc. That's why Demo für alle is supported by an alliance of over 30 family organizations and committed individuals. In this alliance, we regularly discuss content and strategies. We recommend valuable contacts and interesting readings to each other. We support each other in important campaigns and in the distribution of new videos and brochures. We also work internationally with pro-life and pro-family organizations. In Austria, in Switzerland, France, Italy, Finland, Poland, the Czech Republic, Hungary, and the USA. At this level too, it is important to exchange ideas about the respective experiences and challenges, and above all, to talk about what affects us all together. For example, what is deciding in the European Union or at the United Nations. However, such cooperation also has its limits. In the European Union, education and family policy is the responsibility of the member states. In Germany, it is even the responsibility of the federal states. This means that most of the challenges and campaigns in our daily work do not take place at the international level, but rather at the national or regional level. And that's exactly where we can do something about it. It is therefore extremely important for us to reach even more families, even more citizens in Germany, and to mobilize them, to fight for marriage and family. This is also the case for most other family protection organizations in their respective countries. We can only support each other a little in this regard. But especially when it comes to encouraging each other, sharing great victories and new challenges, supporting large demonstrations or actions, distributing videos and warding off dangers for all of us, an international network, an alliance of like-minded people from pro-life and pro-family organizations is very important. I am therefore very pleased that this conference represents another important step towards international networking and that we can contribute to it with Demo für alle. I wish you all the best, God's blessing, and much success in your daily work for your marriage, family, and children. Thank you for your attention.